In Shandong, China, Tzu Chi continues to send warmth during the cold winter. In our feature report, we take a look at Tzu Chi's love and care in Haiti for the past 11 years. Selamat datang ke Headline, saya Simon Gan. Terima kasih menyertai sesi berita kita. In Shandong, China, Tzu Chi volunteers spread out into 13 teams to make house visitations and send winter warmth. Today, we take a look at two touching stories from their visits.
We hope that your family has a bright future ahead. Ray has grown up, and his father has also stand up.
5 years after Zhang Tao's accident, Tzu Chi volunteers had the affinity to care for his family and accompanied throughout his rehabilitation. 5 years ago, he was in a vegetative state, but today, he can walk and speak. Zhang Tao's parents also seize every opportunity to teach their grandchildren.
You
need to become someone who contributes towards society. This is what Grandpa always told you. These aunties and uncles are the ambassadors of love. They're also ambassadors, do you know?
Anyone who has the heart and the will can become an ambassador of love. For 74-year-old Grandma Fang, her bamboo coin bank collects all the love and kind thoughts from her neighbors.
Grandma always invites her neighbors to do recycling works. They'll always donate into this bamboo coin bank. There's a lot of money this time.
Although Grandma Fang is very optimistic, but she has to take care of her paralyzed husband and her daughter. Tzu Chi's blessing came in the form of aid supplies, as volunteers hand them over personally. 15 kilograms of rice, 5 liters of cooking oil, washing powder, and warm clothing. Volunteers send winter warmth just in time. With the love and care, the family no longer need to worry for the upcoming Chinese New Year. In Malaysia, due to the pandemic, Kuala Lumpur Tzu Chi International School has launched an online book borrowing service, enabling parents to pick up the books they borrow online via drive-thru. Take a look. Without the presence of the students, the school seems particularly deserted. In order to encourage students to cultivate good reading habits, Kuala Lumpur Tzu Chi International School has launched an online book borrowing service.
They see that we have many interesting books for them, so that's why they want to borrow during this school holiday. We send email to the students, so saying that this is your ticket number, so please bring this ticket number during the pickup. Your ticket number? S002.
The librarians will arrange the books accordingly, so that parents are able to pick up the book via drive-thru method.
I have participated in this event this time because I have finished reading all the books at home. I like to read the books that are colorful and with pictures.
Previously, we've brought her to the public libraries, but all of them were closed due to the pandemic. So we were unable to find new books for her to read, and she has finished reading all the books at home.
For kids at her age, I think it's not suitable for them to spend too much time on smartphones or watching TV programs. Since she was at a very young age, I have already cultivated her interest in book reading so that she can learn knowledge from books.
Reading a book is always beneficial. Through reading, children can learn new knowledge while filling up their holidays. This great activity is much welcomed by all parents. As the living expenses in Jakarta is high, most patients who seek medical treatment in the city will face financial difficulties. A number of halfway homes are available, providing free accommodation and subsidies for 3 meals. Take a look.
There are still some people in Indonesia who lack basic nutrition, and yet the problem of food waste continues to get worse. Concern about this issue led a charitable organization in Jakarta to go into the community to seek donations for patients and family members temporarily staying in the halfway house for medical treatment. They're able to get daily necessities, green vegetables, and snacks for free. The materials donated on the spot include rice, cooking oil, white sugar, and green vegetables. In addition to the above-mentioned ingredients, the organization also provides disposable diapers, milk powder, and nutritious snacks to children living in halfway houses.
We visit every halfway house. As you can see, these halfway houses have many children here from other places who temporarily reside as they are waiting for follow-up medical visits. We provided some help and support.
The management of Halfway House welcomes the aid as supplemental nutrition can really help patients recover quickly.
We are very grateful. Thank you all the volunteers. This assistance is very meaningful. It is all we need for the families and patients every day.
Since 2019, the organization has regularly organized public activities as it hopes that each of its actions can help improve the nutritional status of patients and restore their health as soon as possible.
"11 years ago, a massive earthquake struck Haiti. After the earthquake, Tzu Chi volunteers did not hesitate to give them assistance. 11 years later, the local volunteers who have emerged are still full of love and continue to contribute their efforts to help Haitians. Take a look.
A major earthquake shook the Caribbean nation of Haiti late today. It hit.
The earthquake rocked this impoverished Caribbean nation late this afternoon.
L'épicentre du séisme a eu lieu exactement
un gigantesque nuage blanc
à 15 km seulement de la capitale haïtienne. C'est très peu et cela explique en partie.
C'est un violent séisme le plus destructeur.
In just one short minute, the capital Port-au-Prince was torn apart.
It's being called a catastrophe of major proportions.
The number of people killed by the earthquake could now reach 200,000.
C'est le plus puissant tremblement de terre depuis un siècle à Haïti.
On January 10th, 2010 at 4:53 p.m., a magnitude 7.0 earthquake struck Haiti with its epicenter just 16 miles from the capital, Port-au-Prince. The impact is devastating. 230,000 people lost their lives, and 280,000 buildings were destroyed. About 3 million people overall are affected by the disaster.
This was a school, probably still have between 150 to 200 students still beneath the rumble. The parents still haven't found a body yet, so we're still waiting on the government or any organization to come and help them out to pull the bodies out.
I lose my family in the earthquake. My house is over there, it's breaking. I lose my mom, and then I lose my daddy. And then I got my wife, I lose my kids. And then I don't know exactly what kind of thing to do.
On January 18, Tzu Chi USA deploys a disaster assessment team with the goal of setting up an intervention to bring relief to the local population.
I learned the term in dire straits during my student days. As for yesterday, I also experienced what it means to suffer hunger and cold, because during the day yesterday, we distributed all the bread we had, so there was none left for us. We also slept on the ground, and it was cold.
We still have mattresses, so it's pretty comfortable compared to the earthquake survivors. But I couldn't sleep well. I woke up 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night. But it's okay. Basically, we think that traps, tents, and mattresses are essential for living and sleeping needs.
On January 28, a large shipment of food and supplies arrives in Port-au-Prince, along with another group of Tzu Chi volunteers.
很多营养哦，有蔬菜、水果、面包，还有卤味。
The very next day, just 11 days after the assessment team's arrival, the first distribution of food and supplies takes place in a local orphanage.
Okay, thank you again, thank you, thank you. 谢谢, merci, merci. Chantez pour yo artistes là. Mais pas ici, pas jambilier. 12 janvier 2010. Chantez pour yo non artistes là. Gen parent fait 35 secondes. Yo oublié. Pays a te tout de noir. Tout monde te.
Between January 18th and May 25th, 255 volunteers flew in from Taiwan, the United States, Dominican Republic, Canada, and other countries. They held 84 distributions, providing 38 shipping containers worth of supplies, including instant rice, flour, rice, blankets, tents, plastic sheets, mobile toilets, and more. The mission provided relief to 47,047 households, comprising 190,411 individuals.
Because it didn't have anything before. Now we got something to cover the top for when you want to sleep. When the rain come down, you could sleep it.
Food and supplies aren't the only urgent need of the survivors. With all of the hospitals in the capital damaged or destroyed, the need for medical attention is now greater than ever.
Sometimes they can be like that for a week or 2 weeks. Okay?
It's very busy today. Very busy today.
From February to April, 73 volunteers from the Tzu Chi medical team participated in 8 trips to provide free medical services in disaster areas, serving 15,264 individuals. After the first intense months of 2010 dedicated to emergency relief, Tzu Chi volunteers started to think long-term. In other words, what kind of action can be taken to continue improving the quality of life for local residents long after the earthquake emergency and in a sustainable way? That shifted Tzu Chi's focus toward education. In October, Tzu Chi officially launched its Happy Campus program. Local volunteers visited the community and provided tuition subsidies to allow students from low-income families to return to school. In addition, they created after-school programs and provided daily lunch for the students. Always with an eye toward the future and the next generations, Tzu Chi expanded its long-term aid in Haiti with the rebuilding of 3 schools and a kindergarten destroyed during the recent earthquake. Just a year and a half later, on May 17, 2013, Tzu Chi held the grand opening for the 3 schools it had rebuilt for the Congregation of the Sisters of St. Anne.
Very soon after everything was destroyed, and it was during those first meetings that I met the Tzu Chi organization.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
I don't know, is Sister Rita accept the school?
We accept the schools. It is a gift of hope in a country where hope was sometimes difficult to find following the earthquake. Tzu Chi volunteers today, I want to say to you, you came back and you did what you said you would do. You kept your promise.
We are like messengers. How do we bring a message of love here? But the message behind it is more important, because Haitians can rely on the infrastructure to educate their children's confidence.
While developing long-term aid, such as the rebuilding of schools, food for work programs, and local volunteer training, Tzu Chi didn't stop its more direct support for the most vulnerable populations in Port-au-Prince. Through a collaboration with Father Olibri Tzu Chi and his organization Œuvre des Petites Écoles des Pères Bonins, Tzu Chi is able to provide regular rice and goods distributions, such as this one in August 2014.
I'm very happy because this is being done at the beginning of the school year, at the moment when people need it the most. This gives parents the chance to save a bit on food purchases, so they're able to afford books for their children's education.
D'économiser un petit peu sur l'achat de la nourriture pour pouvoir acheter des livres pour l'éducation des enfants.
Good morning, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Bonjour, et merci beaucoup d'être présent avec nous ce matin.
We are going to have a home here.
Nous allons avoir notre maison ici en Haïti.
In August of 2017, a ceremony is held in Port-au-Prince to kick off the construction of a Tzu Chi campus, a testament to the Foundation's commitment toward the Haitian population for the long haul.
Ça représente un pile bagaille pour nous parce que de 2010 à Kounien, ça fait déjà.
This represents a great step for us because from 2010 until today,
donc jodi côté li fait pose première prière li, ça veut dire un pile bagaille pour nous.
It's already been 7 years they were receiving Tzu Chi support. Today this groundbreaking means that soon we'll have a home here with office space where we can meet.
Mais avec pose première pierre ça avec geste ça qui fait jodi, ça représente un pile bagaille.
Today's event represents a great deal for all Tzu Chi members in Haiti. We can finally say that Tzu Chi will now have a permanent base in Haiti.
We will finally have our own place and a warehouse to cook food for those long-term projects like feeding the elderly or disabled.
Nous dans soleil 17 dans cantine côté nous préparer manger.
We are in Soleil 17, in the canteen where we prepare meals for children. But after this meeting with Master Zhen Yan, I launched this program with 250 seniors, people who are blind and people who are handicapped.
Tout autant que nous gain possibilité.
To have the opportunity to help people in this area is a big step forward in the development work.
Since the first intervention in 1998, Tzu Chi has relentlessly worked against all adversities to help the ever-challenged people of Haiti achieve a better life. Through emergency aid such as donations of food, supplies, and money, to longer-term solutions such as building schools and investing in the education of the next generation. Under the supervision of Father Tzu Chi, and since 2014, Tzu Chi has held 2 to 4 distributions of rice per year to elementary school students and families in the neighborhoods of Cité Soleil and La Saline, arguably the poorest in Port-au-Prince. At the dawn of the new decade, the challenges in Haiti are as present as ever. And so is Tzu Chi's commitment to keep tackling them, one by one.
There are always difficulties, but Master Zhen Yan taught us to do that which can hardly be done. We also need to consider cultural differences and language barriers, but these can't stop our determination to cultivate communities with the power and motivation of love, great mercy even to strangers, and great compassion for all. May all hearts be purified, may all societies be in harmony, and may the world be free of all disasters.
Nowadays, the display of ancient antiques through new media has become an international trend. In the National Palace Museum, audiences may now interact with antique artistic creations through screens. Follow a report as we learn more.
One of the most prominent artworks in Song Dynasty, Early Spring, is drawn up by Guo Xi. With light strokes and realistic features, the artwork displays spring phenomenon in northern China. Now, we are able to visit this masterpiece again through the new media.
Wow! 我好像飞鸟，
Well, I'm like a bird looking down on the beautiful scenery here. Now, you have seen me inside of the painting, but actually I am in interactive simulation, which allows me to be in this giant painting through the exploration.
Early spring uses a technique called the angle of totality, keeping the sky and ground while maintaining its proportions of objects. Using motion tracking technologies, the audience can now fly through the landscapes in the painting.
The motion tracking technology mainly detects the joints on every bone, which represents coordinates, your hand and neck in this space, and where your X and Y are located. Every coordinate is recorded for detection. With these things set in place, the system is able to provide immediate feedback.
This is MPM's The Epitome of Aesthetics new media art exhibition. Using projection mapping, the famous 100 horses is being displayed with vibrant colors and an emphasis on beauty.
In the long scroll of 100 horses, every horse in the painting has unique shapes and hair colors. Through projection mapping, we are able to create all the horses with different characteristics.
Normally, when we do projection mapping, we must make an accurate model with smaller proportions. So firstly, we will make a 110 or 1/100 model. The details must be the same with the original artwork. We then project the proportional model in our laboratory, but usually what seems fine in the lab will have some mistakes at the exhibition scene. We'll have to go back and forth in order to make sure everything's right.
Exhibition theme and presentation are two major discussion topics, as technological staff must choose between the tough choices of logic and perception.
Sometimes creativity is great, but technology doesn't allow it. Sometimes technology follows up and creativity fits in perfectly. When our staff presents creative thoughts, mostly it's abstract. But when we handle it over to technological staff, logic-driven people, they will tell us that it's impossible. This time, the staff must understand how to utilize current technology.
During the reign of Emperor Kangxi of Qing Dynasty, the illustrated album of sea ornaments was made. Now, through new media, the vast collections of fish are now in a digital sea tunnel. Originally, technological staff planned on a vast sea space, but due to the limitations of exhibition room, the display was moved to a smaller screen as it interacts with audiences stepping on a pad.
That is a Nocto visor, and now we use this wide-angle camera so it can capture every location in a room. With one camera, it can observe every location in the X and Y coordinates of each visitor. When the coordinates are sent back to our system, we will let the system decide on what is going to happen when the digital animal gets close with a visitor.
New media exhibitions are becoming a global trend as it breaks the barriers of time and space, allowing the audience to enjoy artworks with a different experience. In this particular exhibition, national treasures found their way of display in modern times.
In Bolivia, Tzu Chi volunteers head over to Santa Cruz before the restriction order was implemented to distribute aid supplies to 250 impoverished families. We'll leave you these images. Thank you and goodbye.